Okay guys, welcome back. This is your old pal Hondo doing another video for you guys on some tips and tricks, but this time it's going to be tips and tricks on the crappie magnet kit. This will also work for your trout magnet kits as well. As you can see in front of you guys, we have the trout magnet itself, which is the plastic bait. We have the trout magnet jig head as well with the float and a split shot as well. Just going to show you how to do a few techniques with this to make it more effective for you. Now there's plenty of videos out there on this already, guys. If you don't like this video, you can go watch those other videos. Make sure you leave what you think about this video down in the comment section. If this helps you, let me know. This is just the way I set them up. This is my own personal opinion. Now first of all, when you're running the float, you want a 6-foot rod, ultralight rod, or a light rod. Either a micro tiny series from Bass Pro Shop will work pretty good, which is a 6-footer. You only need a 6-foot rod to a 5'6" ultralight, or a 6-foot light rod. Now the tiny micro series rods from Bass Pro Shop are great. You can get the Falcon Evo, which is a 6-foot graphite light rod. You can get the Lose Light Speed Stick HS, like I did a video on. You could use the 6-foot Eagle Claw Light Series fiberglass rods as well. The type of fishing lines that I like to use, in my own opinion, are 4 to 2 pound test. You can get the Leland 2 pound test line or the 4 pound test line for this rig if you need to, which is monofilament, or you can go with something a little bit more stealthy with some fluorocarbon. I wouldn't recommend using fluorocarbon for this. I'd use a good 6-foot ultralight series graphite rod with monofilament, and that's plenty good for the float. With the drag and cast method of just, you know, tying the jig head to a hook and casting it out there, the drag and cast method with it is you could use a 5'6" rod or a 4'6" ultralight. If you wanted to do it with that, you can. But with the float, I kind of like a little bit longer rod, like a 6-foot rod, because it gives you better hook penetration, casting, and control of the float better. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to tie off the trout magnet itself. Here's the line. I don't know if you guys can see it, but what you want to do, now this is the knot that I use, guys. This is the old crappie loop knot. It'll work for this just as well. I think this is a more devastating knot than just tying a standard clinch knot or a Palmer knot to this hook. The reason why I like the loop knot is because it makes the bait look like it's a real minnow or a bug floating around in the water when you either got the float on it or don't have the float on it. And this this technique is really good. I can't get the line through the freaking through the eye of the hook. Hang on a little bit. I'm trying here. First thing you want to do is get the line through the eye of the hook like that, and pull it out as far as you can. You need a lot of line to do this with the hook. You want a loop knot. Now you can keep this loop knot in here if you want to do that. Now you hold the hook and the line like that, and what you want to do is you want to hold the main tag line and the tag line in the other hand like that, and just wrap it over and loop it a few times over the knot, over the line like that. You loop it like that. Now you'll have this like loop at the bottom here. Now what you want to do is put the hook through the loop like that, over the loop, and grab a hold of it, the line. You may want to wet the line with your spit or water or whatever before you tie it off, because it helps lubricate it to where it won't. You want to hold the knot down. I kind of like holding the knot to get a smaller loop in it. with lighter line it does a little bit different. I mean, I got a longer loop here. I didn't want the longer loop, but you can make it really small as well. Now you want to cut the tagging line off right here. Okay, you got the tagging line off now. Now this, just with the jig head alone, with the ultralight fishing line or the 2 pound to 4 pound test, you can put a small split shot above it. If you can't cast it correctly and it's not really casting out far, you put the split shot above it, like right up here. Put the split shot like this above your main line to cast it out further. But you shouldn't have a problem once you hook the once you put the plastic on the hook. Now the way you want to put the plastic on the hook, you want it to come out the back end of the plastic itself when you hook the jig head in here. Okay. Okay, there you guys go. That's how it's set up. You want it to come out the back end a little bit right here. I kind of screwed it up, but you know, it doesn't really matter as long as these little 2 tail pieces come out the end. That's basically good enough. I didn't tie the knot very well, but this little knot, what it does is it gives it a lively action to it. You know, it goes up and down like that. And you know, that's how it works. The next technique you guys want to do is the float. Now this is a float that comes with all your trout magnet kits, guys. This is actually a slip bobber rig, a slip bobber float as well. You can use it as a slip bobber, or you could use it as a standard float plug. What I mean by a slip bobber is before you tie this jig head on, you put the main line through the jig. Well, you put a bobber stop on it first, which comes in those little kits. You push the line through the bobber stopper, and then you pull the line through the bobber stopper, and the little rubber piece will go up here, and then you can slide the bobber right on top of it, and that little bobber stop will stop it. Then you tie your jig head on, and then you tie on, then you put your small split shot below it, which will stop the bobber from going over the top of the jig head as well. That's one way you could set it up. Now the other way, which they show in most videos, is to pull the cork stop out, and then right here you'll see in the bottom of the cork stop, this thing's been abused, I've used it a lot, there's a crack in between the bobber itself. What you want to do is take your line and put it through the crack of the bobber, like so. If you can get it through there, it's a tight fit sometimes. Once you get it through there, you want to make sure the line is at the back of the bobber, not facing the crack, and stick your bobber stop in there. And what you could do with this, once you got the split shot on it, you could adjust the depth of it by pulling out the bobber stop. Now if you want to, if you're fishing at 6 foot of water, you want to run about 4 foot of line. You don't want it about 2 foot off the bottom of structure. If you're fishing 4 feet of water, you want it 2 feet. You want it a foot below the bobber right here, like a foot, 12 inches, however deep you want to fish it. You can adjust the depth of your fishing wherever you're getting the most hits. When you're fishing with a float though, you want to cast it out at a spot you think there's a trout or a crappie, and you reel it in real slow, snail's pace. And you want to use the spinning reel, guys, for this technique, or a Zebco 33 micro Zebco 33 micro spin cast rod, spin cast reel, or a 1000 series or 500 series spinning reel or spin cast reel. Or you want to use a Zebco micro 33, you could use the underspin micro. It doesn't matter what type of reel you're using, but try to stick with those 2 reels. They're the best reels when you're using conventional tackle. You cast it out as far as you can into the spot you think there's a trout. When you got your depth adjusted on the trout magnet, you reel it in really slow, as slow as you can. Let it stop, and twitch it a little and then let it stop, and it'll fall on the drop like this, you know. With this technique, what this loop knot does is it'll go up and down while the water moves. It makes the it'll make the trout magnet look more, it'll make the trout magnet look really lively in the water and make it look like a real minnow or a grub or whatever, stonefly, whatever it is that you're fishing with as bait. Now if you're just dragging it and casting it without the float on it, guys, it's a simple process as well. Now with the float off, if you're just casting it and dragging it, you know, you're just casting it out there, the technique, what it is when you're casting it, you reel it in real slow with this loop knot on here. What that loop knot does while you're fishing with it, when you're dragging it and casting it, what happens is when you're reeling it in, it'll move like this, right? When you're reeling it in. But when you stop it, it'll drop. The line will make it look drop. And then when you twitch it a little bit, it'll move up and down with the loop knot and make it look real. When you're pulling it in without the float, it gives a little lively action now. But with this, you can't let it sit like you can with the float. You can let it sit for a minute with the float, but with this technique, you have to keep it moving constantly. You want to let it fall for about a second and then twitch it a little bit and reel it in slow as you can. Reel it in as slow as you can, and then let it drop again, and then twitch it and let it, and then reel it slow again, as slow as you can with your reel, guys. You move this bait too fast, you're not going to catch anything. You move it too slow, you're not going to catch anything. You move it just right, you'll catch pretty much just about every trout or panfish that you can with this technique. Now, if you're pan fishing, same technique, guys, with this trout magnet or crappie magnet. It'll work either way. With the drag and cast technique, you know, basically throwing it out, reeling it in slow, let it drop for a second, reel it in again, and then twitch it a little bit while you're reeling, and you're good to go. Now, if all these techniques fail to catch you a fish, try to use different colors until you key on what they're hitting on whatever color trout magnet you got. So buy the kit, don't buy just the separate magnets themselves. That way, if you buy the kit, guys, you have different color options. Find what color option they're hitting on and stick to that color option. Once you find the color that you're hitting on, you'll start bagging more fish. Now, if all else fails, and no matter what color you use, or you've been getting a few hits on one type of color and you know that's what's working for them, but you're not really catching a lot of trout, method number 3 is you go to the Polanski Fireball. I find these crappie bites are made out of garlic, and most trout baits are garlic scented anyways. This stuff, I've caught tons of trout with this, and bluegill and crappie. They're not just for crappie, guys. You put a little bit of that Polanski Fireball on the back end of this freaking lure, whatever color they're hitting, you'll increase your chances of catching more trout, guys, with this, or even crappie or bluegill, by putting just one of these on here. Or you could put a piece of PowerBait on the back of here, a little tiny piece, a ball, and rub it all over this with some scented PowerBait, and they'll nail the crap out of this. Or you could use like the PowerBait scent gel and dip it in the PowerBait scent gel, and that'll increase your chances of catching a finicky trout if all else fails. Okay, guys, that's the end of the video. That's pretty much all the techniques I have with the trout magnet. If you like this video, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Tell me in the comments what you think of this. Ring the bell for further uploads, guys. If you think the tips and tricks helped you out, let me know. Y'all take it easy. This is your old pal Hondo from Hillbilly Tactical. You put God first. He puts you first every time. You know what else, YouTube? God loves you. So does Hondo. Peace out.